there's the big bad, and then the lackeys. Maybe they're outside the sphere, and the your martial characters go deal with them. You know, while while we at the big boys table, we'll fight the big bad guy.
That feels accurate, honestly, to what a lot of top end DMing feels like.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Ravenous Void.
Darkness. You create a 20. Well, this is a 9th level evocation spell from Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. So this is one of Matt Mercer's. I say Matt Mercer. There are more people involved with that book, but that's generally who I associate with Critical Role and with us Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, because that's Critical Role related. This is like for Dunamancy, Graviturgy, Wizard kind of thing, but it's also just like a wizard spell. I don't know the exact specifications of it, but it is kind of cool. And if you like it, I would just talk to your DM and go, hey, can I take this a Wizards of the Coast officially produced spell? And they'll probably go, yes. Then again, you're playing a 17th level plus wizard, so I'm not sure you exist. So this spell has got a cast time of an action range of 1,000 feet. It's got a royal somatic material components, which requires a small 9-pointed star made of iron. Its duration is concentration up to a minute. So you create a 20-foot radius sphere of destructive gravitational force centered on a point you can see within range. For the spell's duration, the sphere and any space within 100 feet of it are difficult terrain, and non-magical objects fully inside the sphere are destroyed if they aren't being worn or carried. Just every non-magical object. It just instantly destroys them. When the sphere appears, and at the start of each of your turns until the spell ends, unsecured objects within 100 feet of the sphere are pulled towards the sphere's center, ending in an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible. A creature that starts its turn within 100 feet of the sphere must make a strength saving throw or be pulled straight towards the sphere's center, ending in an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible. A creature that enters the sphere for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there takes 5d10 force damage and is restrained until it is no longer in the sphere. If the sphere is in the air, the restrained creature hovers inside the sphere. Creature can use its action to make a strength check against your spell save DC, ending the restraint condition on itself or another creature in the sphere that it can reach. Creature reduced to 0 hit points by the sphere is annihilated, along with any non-magical items it is wearing or carrying. I like this thing.
Yeah.
This is a neat little 9th level spell.
Yeah, it's you think what is it? Meteor Swarm is the standout damage spell, and this doesn't do the same damage, but
not even close.
It has but it has other effects, and doesn't necessarily. I mean, it annihilates things rather than burning them, which sometimes you want, because fire spreads.
True. I mean, Meteor Swarm decimates landscapes. Like, it's 3 gargantuan explosions of molten rock and damage. This is a giant black hole that kills and eats everything within 100 feet of it, right? Like, you just sit this down somewhere in the middle of a crowded square and just massacre everything in sight. You're a high tier wizard with a spell DC of like 20 at this point. You're going to slam this thing down. All non-magical objects in the area just mash into a tiny pulp. Like, they're just gone. They're just annihilated into this vacuumous void. And then every creature in the area gets sucked towards the center into a giant ball of creatures that slowly just get like shredded down into nothingness. It's kind of metal. Now, is it powerful? I don't really think so, but
situationally, perhaps.
Okay, tell me on a situation where this is good.
A bunch of creatures that all right, a bunch of creatures that Meteor Swarm isn't going to kill. You cast this on them. You restrain them all for a while doing a bit of damage, but then they're restrained, so you can keep attacking them with other stuff while you've got them locked in there.
So we're at a place where 40d6 damage isn't going to kill them, and we are valuing this restraint over the damage difference, is what we're saying.
All right, maybe you use this first to keep them in place while you throw another Meteor Swarm at them.
You got the bonus 9th level spell from the card trick thing, that new feat from the one book, so you now have a second 9th level spell slot to do that? Sure. Is that better than a second Meteor Swarm? It's unfair to continually compare this to the best
Meteor
damage
Swarm,
spell in the game.
They learned their lesson, and they all scattered. Oh, I don't want to get hit by that again.
I have bad news for them because Meteor Swarm's got a mile range. So, yeah. I'm not sure that any amount of scattering is going to save them from the apocalypse. But okay, let's shelf the very obvious elephant in the room, Meteor Swarm, right? Let's just say that really big damage outlier isn't what we have to compare this thing to. If we compare this to like 8th and 7th level spells, 5d10 still isn't good damage, right?
No, but yeah, I mean, I think you have to compare it to 9th level spells because it's a 9th level spell.
Okay,
And,
well, it's
I'm
always going to lose against the good ones.
I'm looking for a reason to justify its existence.
Sure. So, okay, I wrote off your talking about the restraining effect that it kind of has. And it isn't specifically restraint, is it? Oh, it is restraint. It does restrain them. But, so, like, this is kind of a giant area of effect. You suck everything into the central point, and then you can just, like, blast that central point as much as you want to, which is a pretty cool fantasy. I gotta give it that. I don't see how martial characters get to function if you ever cast this thing. Right? Like, your melee monk ally just kind of goes, I can't be within 100 feet of them to punch them. And my darts sure as hell just disappear the center they enter that area. So, like, that's not ideal.
I don't know. No, the darts don't disappear. It's like the darts will hit their target, and then whether that if poking out at somebody counts as worn or carried, that's up to the DM's discretion. But I don't think they just instantly disappear as soon as they're thrown.
If they get fully inside the sphere, they are destroyed. If they're not being worn or carried. But the sphere is at the center of this all, not within the 100 feet. So as long as you're hitting something that's not inside the sphere, but within the 100 feet of the sphere, then you're still good to go.
Yeah. All right, you might be right there.
Yeah, it just automatically destroys any non-magical objects fully inside the sphere.
That's the question I had, though. What constitutes an object? Like, if you cast
anything
this
that isn't alive.
All right, so if you cast this at ground level, you've got like 100-foot pit all of a sudden.
I would say so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little rocks and dirt. That all is objects.
Right.
It's undeniably a really cool ability, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can just sit this. You got a big castle, right? And you're like, we need to get in the castle. Well, we could walk through the front door, or I could remove the front gate. Gone. That's kind of sweet. Is it powerful? But it's neat. It's novel. It's like Earthquake, kind of, where this is doing an effect that is interesting, at least. And I think that kind of justifies its existence. This is a build your own black hole. I really think you probably should double the damage on this thing, right? Like, this probably should do a lot more than 5d10 damage for everything in the area, given its competition. But it also is maybe the kind of a thing that you throw, like, it's consistently gonna do something round after round after round. So against one or two big bads, maybe this is I got 700 hit points. A Meteor Swarm isn't gonna do that much more of a dent than this is going to. We're gonna need like 10 rounds of this anyway. I'm gonna throw this down with the intention of it's gonna get sucked to the center over and over again, and we're gonna keep it like corral it into this space, basically. Like, you throw this on a Kraken or something, and then it just persistently damage over time, while the Kraken's like suck over towards it every once in a while. And that's a big hindrance to it. It can't just always legendary resistance out of this, because it's only kind of like getting pulled towards and taking some moderate damage. Maybe there's a world where that's pretty powerful. That's kind of the fact that we're having a conversation of are there worlds where this can be powerful automatically makes it better than some of the worst 9th level spells.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. This is no weird.
No. So yeah, I think you have to value the restraint to choose this over Meteor Swarm, and I do think there's instances where you might, like, if all right, the Meteor Swarm isn't going to kill it, but if it gets another shot at you, it's going to kill you. So you hold it in place for a little while everybody else blasts it with whatever they've got.
Yeah. Ideally more than 40d6 worth of damage.
Yeah.
So I think that example that's a really big hiccup to me. Because if you do put this thing down and you do restrain like a Kraken, like a dragon turtle, some giant CR 20-some enemy, right? Your fighter doesn't get to lay into it because your fighter gets eaten by the sphere, right? Your ranger, your rogues, your melee allies don't have a way to get within 100 feet of this thing because you just put a giant sphere of destruction on top of it.
No, so I understand that.
Just like pepper it with arrows, I guess.
But then
that could be fine in some groups. Arrows. Yeah. And they're likely to be magic arrows, let's be honest. Yeah. If we're casting 9th level spells, I would expect the martial characters have magic items and weapons at their disposal that let them.
You didn't take for granted the monk's magic darts.
The monk also needs to be within 60 feet for those darts to work. So,
Maybe just throwing them from a height.
so he's just dropping these magic
Yeah.
darts and just like what's the pachinko machine? One of those things? Yeah. Sure. Eh. I think about it being a way to sort of manage like big CR monsters over a long duration of time that covers a big space. So like it kills all their lackeys outright. This just deals with the lackeys, and then it will sometimes like act as a continuous saver die to like gargantuan creatures. And then I'm like, but is that what it does? Because you don't get a way to engage with them outside of ranged combatants. This is sort of like if you're playing the wizard show where everyone's a full caster, yeah, sure, why not? But if you're not playing the wizard show, everyone's a full caster, and you have a barbarian in the group, you have a fighter in the group, you have a paladin in the group, this thing becomes really hard to use. As that's to say in combat. I think out of combat, there's still plenty to just be like, I blow up your house.
Or any object.
Objects,
right,
plural,
well,
Bob, not just one.
Yeah.
It takes everything.
All right. Well, how about that though? In combat, there's the big bad, and then the lackeys. Maybe they're outside the sphere, and your martial characters go deal with them. While we at the big boys table, we'll fight the big bad guy.
That feels accurate, honestly, to what a lot of top end DMing feels like. I can't tell you the amount of times where I've just been like, I need to just make a pack of baddies designed to hit the barbarian so the barbarian can feel like they're contributing while the rest of the characters play the game.
It's like when you had your little brother the controller
Yeah.
that's not hooked up to the system.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of how it feels. That's upper level play at its finest, honestly. Is a lot of like especially at groups that aren't power gaming. Just by the nature of how the system works, the full casters will be doing wildly more powerful things than everyone else. And like, especially like with no effort put into builds, people are just like shrugging up the table, doing the level ups there. They're like reading the player's handbook for the first time, being like, "Oh, what feats are cool?" Which I want to make this clear. I'm confident that's the majority of people that play this game. They're going to find at the highest tiers of play like, oh, this thing seems sweet. I like Matt Mercer. I came into this game with Critical Role. I'm going to take this giant Gravity Well spell. And then the Barbarian 2 feet to the left that's just like, oh, I don't get to play this fight anymore? Okay. Thumbs up. And then they just sit back and get on their phone and text while you have the big climactic encounter with your Bard and your Warlock.
Or maybe they just non-lethally punch the wizard to break his concentration.
Just to let them participate all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really struggle with the like, oh, but what are there little things off to the sides that let the barbarian fight? Because this thing kills everything with like it's 100-foot radius, right? So it's 20 feet sphere, and then 100 feet on either side of the sphere gets sucked to the 20-foot sphere. So this is a total range of 220 feet. Anything within that space is getting sucked to the sphere. So if there are any lackeys at all, chances are they're going into the center.
240 feet.
Oh, there's a sphere 20-foot radius as well?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
20-foot radius sphere.
Yeah, this thing's... This is actually a city block. Really cool.
That extra 20 feet made a real big difference to you.
It just tacks on the extra 100 feet, right? You read 100, you read 20. 120 doesn't feel like that big. We've seen Fireball cast at that range. Then you're like, no, double it. That's the radius. This thing is so freaking big. That makes it cool. I don't know. I'm gonna tentatively give it a 3. I have never not played with it, and I don't know at this tier of play. It's like that much more interesting than a Meteor Swarm, but at least this does mass destruction in a way similar to Meteor Swarm, but it like just leaves a void in its place. Like you can use this as just a really expensive tunnel bore if you want. Like maybe you just decide you want to reach the center of the earth, and every day your wizard just goes 240 feet down, 240 feet down, 240 feet down until they can just delve into the pits of Tartarus.
Or you live in an area of solid stone, and you want to make like a really cool skateboard park.
Yeah. This could do a great job. You just sculpt the spheres daily to get these really sick ramps and stuff. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we found the best case use for it.
Yeah. I think I probably should give this thing a 2. Like this just screams Earthquake
I was
to
going to
me,
give
right?
it a 3 because I thought you were going to give it a 2, but I'll either agree with your 3 or go a step higher than your 2, whatever you like.
Got 5d10 force damage just isn't enough. And like it's interesting and cool, but it's just going to be worse than a lot of the powerful things happening. Having never played with it, I don't know if I can conscious give it a 2. I'll give it a 3. We'll stick with my 3. We'll go with my initial guess. Maybe it's good. I don't know. It doesn't look good, but it looks fun. And it earns points in my book.
Okay. Well, that was what was this? Ravenous Void. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Have you played with this? Was it fun? Was it powerful?
Has
Uh,
anyone ever played with this?
yes, yeah. Give us your uninformed opinions as well. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.